So, Twilight was a huge franchise worth a lot of money, and obviously people are going to want a slice of that pie. But one group I'm kind of surprised wanted in on this was Christians? Question mark?
There were some movies, terrible movies, movies so awful, no one would touch. Then came a Matthew, sad little Matthew. Matthew decided these movies to watch. For every good movie, there's at least 10 bad. Matthew gonna drag himself through the crap to find the worst ones there are to be had.
Today's episode, Last Vampire on Earth. Hello, Church of Latter-day Saints. I am called Matt, and it's time once again to look at terrible Twilight ripoffs. Last Vampire on Earth was released in 2010, 2 years after Twilight and the same year as Blood Red Moon. And that is unfortunately not the last thing this and Blood Red Moon have in common. Hell, it was even in a Mill Creek 8 movie pack with Blood Red Moon. It was directed by Vitaly Versace. He's Russian, so it's probably not actually pronounced Versace, but fuck it, that's how I'm gonna say it. And since he just directed this, I think it's fair to say he's not the most scrupulous director. It was, however, written by Maddie Abraham, apparently based on a book she wrote? Guess 50 Shades of Grey wasn't the only Twilight fanfic adapted into a movie. Unfortunately, unlike E.L. James, this is the only movie Abraham has been attached to. I mean, unfortunately for the people who had to work with E.L. James. Haha, up top. And yeah, most of the actors have only been in this and maybe one or two other movies. Although the film's star, Michael Bohl, is also credited with Transportation Department. So they're pretty open about the fact that one of their actors just drove everyone to set. So let's see if this is funnier than the original. This is Last Vampire on Earth. And of course it opens on the fucking moon. Just like good old Blood Red Moon. Although they did kinda nail Twilight's awful, pretentious voiceover intro.
There are all kinds of people and creatures in this world. Generally, we can distinguish between the real and the fantasy. But what happens when that fantasy creeps into our reality?
We get what sounds like royalty-free classical music over the credits. But these visuals are way too psychedelic for that shit. So let's fix it up.
Super bad. Dig it.
I'm not sure which is worse, every character's emo outfit or the emo filter they've put over the entire film. Man, I'm so edgy now. For the record, while I was editing this, I found out my version was not the original version, and the original version seems to have a much less severe filter on it. The saturation isn't pulled way down, and while the edges are still shadowy, it's not nearly as bad as my copy. It does look slightly better without it, although the black smudge does help cover some of the atrocious cinematography. Also, the original was a few minutes longer, but given what was left in my version, I cannot fathom what they cut out. Also, these obviously emo kids are making fun of other emo kids.
I wouldn't go anywhere looking like that. Me either.
This is the pot mocking the kettle's black eyeliner. Hey, if you want me to be able to read that, maybe angle the camera away from that giant fucking light obstructing my view. Of course they're learning about fucking Dracula. Come on, Twilight has more restraint than you, and they made a whole movie around Romeo and Juliet. And he's making them act it out for an assignment.
This will help you understand the importance of this work much better.
What? How?
Are there any volunteers for the part of Dracula?
You're telling me not one kid in this class wants to be Dracula? I want to be Dracula. I mean, if I have to act anyways, I want the cool part. But of course, it's Edward who gets the role of Dracula, and you'll never believe what his fucking name is.
Aurelius, you get the honor of being Count Dracula.
Aurelius? Aurelius? Is that even a real name? There's like a Roman emperor named Marcus Aurelius, but Marcus was his first name. Aurelius might work as the last name, doesn't work as a first name. And of course, Bella's the romantic lead. I think her name's Chloe or something, but let's be real, I'm not gonna call her anything but Bella. But I will call Edward Aurelius.
Now for the part of Lucy, let's go with...
Seriously? This probably going to be completely tiresome.
10 out of 10 editing on this one. So Aurelius tries to bribe the driver of a blood drive van, as if only one person runs those things. And the guy says he's making basically minimum wage.
What did you run on this thing? $8-9 an hour? Yeah, thereabouts.
If you're running a blood drive by yourself, you better be a doctor. Like, either this guy's getting paid plenty, 'cause he's a doctor, or he's a volunteer. Either way, really should not be giving away blood. Life-saving blood. For money. The next day in class, they start reading Dracula, and,
We'll start at the most logical place, the beginning.
I read that every known superstition in the world is gathered to the horseshoe of the Carpathians, as if it were the center of some sort of imaginative whirlpool.
That's not how Dracula begins. Chapter 1, Jonathan Harker's Journal. Left Munich at 8:35 p.m. on May 1st, arriving at Vienna early the next day. Should have arrived at 6:46, but train was an hour late. He starts reading a page and a half later, and then he skips ahead to page 16.
As I sank into the darkness, I felt a strange chill, and a lonely feeling come down over me.
And then he skips all the way to the end of chapter 1.
Suddenly, I became conscious of the fact that the driver was in the act of pulling up the horses in the courtyard of a vast ruined castle.
And then stops so Aurelius can read a line that's 3 pages into chapter 2.
Welcome to my house. Enter freely and of your own free will. Go safely and leave something of the happiness you bring.
Dude, did you accidentally read the Spark Notes in class?
Aurelius, right? You're in my lit class?
Oh, yeah.
God, that pause. Did the editor fuck up, or is Aurelius's brain just booting up?
You're in my lit class?
Oh, yeah.
Bella's not a great actor, she's kinda awkward, but that almost works for her character. Aurelius, on the other hand, is fucking terrible. And also, like, in his late 20s, if not early 30s. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be students in college, like, they talk about their major, but also he's done his hair up like an emo high schooler from 2006. He's clearly trying to pass for much younger than he is. Also, guess what his major is? Just random guess. First thing off the top of your head. First thing that comes to, like, most obvious, on-the-nose thing for a vampire to study.
What are you majoring in?
Hematology?
Stop. Stop. Do not. And then this movie gets religious.
I want to be a missionary.
That's cool. I really admire people who could be so selfless.
I'm really involved with my church. My dad's the pastor at the local Kingdom Hall, so I help a lot with the youth program.
So there's this whole weird religious angle to this film, and very specifically Jehovah's Witness. And I'm not sure how pro or anti Jehovah's Witness this film is, because it kind of seems to swing both ways. But whichever way, pro or anti, that's weird, right? Like, I lived the Christian backlash to Harry Potter, so I kinda get the Christian-leaning Harry Potter knockoffs, which, note to self, review those. But there wasn't really much Christian backlash to Twilight. I mean, the author is a devout Mormon. Why is this the story you wanted to make Christian, if it is even Christian? Vampires traditionally aren't big fans of Christianity, but I guess Aurelius is fine with it, as he goes to church with Bella. Bella's dad is a preacher, and he invites Aurelius home for dinner. And then the camera just lingers on him.
He's here.
How do you know he was at the door? Was there supposed to be a knocking or doorbell sound effect you just forgot to add? Aurelius mentions he's studying hematology and then acts like there was an awkward silence afterwards.
Basically, I want to work in helping find cures for blood diseases like AIDS and diabetes. Is there something wrong?
Which, I guess there kinda was, but like, no more awkward than anything else in this film.
In our religion, we believe that blood is sacred, and we are not allowed to eat blood of any kind or receive blood transfusions.
And that's really the only clue that they are Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses are the only branch of Christianity who have anything against getting blood transfusions. But, it does make me wonder, did they just add Jehovah's Witnesses to this movie specifically because of the blood thing? Time for a romantic montage! Does Bella like Aurelius? 'Cause, like, she was making fun of him on the first day of school, but then he's Dracula, and from that point on, she's just like, hey, we should date, and they seem to be dating from that point forward. Like, at least in Twilight, there was romantic tension between Edward and Bella before they got together. In this film, they just start dating for no reason. I know the meme, but I'm serious when I say this is a worse love story than Twilight. And then, because Aurelius is pale, lives alone, and studies blood, Bella decides he must be a vampire? Like, what? Why? Bella at least had Edward doing impossible feats in front of her. The blood-red moon Bella's evidence was flimsy, but at least she was having dreams about Edward being a vampire. This chick concludes based on 3 very normal, very unsupernatural pieces of evidence that this man is a vampire. Hell, living alone isn't even a vampire thing. The Cullenses live together. Vampires tend to have, like, covens and shit. Not every pale guy who studies blood is a fucking vampire. He's not even that pale.
How old are you?
20.
If this guy is 20, I'm 15.
For about 2,028 years.
Wow. That's a long time to be by yourself. Did you see Jesus?
I heard him speak a couple of times.
Yeah, man, this pasty white guy was, walking around Israel 2,000 years ago. It's totally saw Jesus. And the way he just nonchalantly goes, yeah, I heard him speak a few times. It's too perfect. Also, really, that's the first thing you're gonna ask the 2,000-year-old man? Did he see Jesus? Also, the fact that he saw and respects Jesus makes this seem more pro-Christian, but that's gonna change real quick. So anyways, Bella throws up water. It's clear, you didn't even try. Which means she must have some very serious disease. And you know how in Blood Red Moon, vampirism is sexually transmitted? Well...
So, nothing we've tried so far has helped stop the virus yet?
No, dear, I'm afraid not. More and more, we've been running into the AIDS strain.
What is with Twilight ripoffs and STDs? Why is that just a recurring theme? You know when edgy internet kids said Twilight is AIDS, they didn't mean that's what the movie was about.
I guess that's why I've taken it upon myself to study blood diseases that there aren't cures for yet. Maybe because I'm immortal. I'd use my long years to work at accomplishing something good.
Wait, he actually is trying to cure blood diseases? I thought that was just a front for being a vampire. Reading Dracula, who cares? Next scene. There's some weird screen glitching because this is only the highest quality DVD release.
It's gonna be great. It's really coming along.
Aurelius agrees to have dinner with Bella's family again. They throw the old pigskin around and, why is this scene here? Nothing of consequence happens. It really makes no sense until you realize this film has a runtime of 1 hour and 19 minutes. They are padding this thing to hell. There's literally a whole scene of Aurelius pouring himself a glass of blood. I guess maybe the important bit of the dinner scene is that Bella's little brother overheard that Aurelius was a vampire.
I mean, I don't see how she could have said something else, and I misunderstood her.
Kid, what are you talking about? Everyone in this movie mumbles their lines. I can't understand what people are talking about half the time. And Bella's dad is furious.
If Aurelius is a vampire, we need to take action. We can't let him wander around bringing evil into the world.
Well, furious according to Bella anyways.
My dad just came over and is in a fury.
Yeah, she and I have very different definitions of the word furious. And next we see him, he's gathered a group of people who've tied up Aurelius and are ready to burn him while he is ranting about blood. God, I knew Jehovah's Witnesses were kinda culty, but I didn't know it was this bad. Like, they are prepared to kill a man at the word of a 10-year-old. Also, if you burn him like this, you're gonna start a forest fire. But I guess this almost meets Twilight's criteria of not introducing a threat until the third act. And words can't do justice for this next scene, so here it is.
This is a good man, and if you took the time to get to know him, you would find that out. He doesn't want to hurt us. He doesn't feed off of humans. He wants to help us. He wants to help find cures for diseases. He wants to help find a cure for diseases like AIDS. Maybe that doesn't mean much to you, but it means a lot to people like me who have it. That's right, I have AIDS and it's advancing very quickly. I don't have that much longer to live, and I will not hesitate to shoot someone for trying to kill Aurelius. I'm not playing around.
I'm also like 90% sure her story about how she got AIDS just isn't possible.
Everyone was running for cover, and I found a little girl frozen in the hall. She'd been cut up by debris and was bleeding a little. I picked her up and we ran for cover. Later on, when we were sitting down, I realized that some of the blood from her cut had gone into a small one I had in my arm.
Like, I'm not a doctor, but that sounds fake. And of course, Aurelius uses their performance of Dracula to turn Bella. Yeah, glad they spoiled that on the fucking box. Oof. That's Last Vampire on Earth. Whew, that's a lot to unpack. What in the ever-loving fuck? So, it's clearly a Twilight ripoff. It's a girl falling in love with a mysterious vampire boy. Even most of the marketing makes it blatantly obvious this is a Twilight ripoff. So why is there so much weird shit? The AIDS stuff? The Jehovah's Witness stuff? Is this pro-Jehovah's Witness? It sure doesn't seem like it, unless it's Ben and Arthur-style backhanded support. But why choose this outlet to criticize Jehovah's Witnesses? I'm not saying they're not deserving of criticism, but why would you use a Twilight knockoff to do it? I mean, the only thing this seems to be critical of is that they're against blood transfusions? And I guess they're intolerant to vampires? Is Aurelius gay? Is this supposed to be a gay metaphor? Even ignoring the weirder aspects, this film is atrocious. The acting is just awful, truly some of the worst performances. I can't understand what they're saying half the time. Everything about the production value seems lazy, and the black smudge filter makes an ugly movie even uglier. It's just one of those films where every decision is just bafflingly terrible. So, yeah, I recommend it. Something to confuse and amaze your friends. Anyways, if you like this one, definitely check out that Blood Red Moon review. And, oh, what's that? An obviously audible knock at the door. I better see who that is. Until next time, I'm Matt, and this is Matt's Fun Time Bad Movie Show.
I wish for a world without injustice, murder, or suffering. I wish for one with only love, beauty, and happiness. I guess that's a bit optimistic, but at the very least, I'm trying to do it as best as I can wherever I am.
Don't like that.